Good morning, and thank you for joining the 2020 Teacher Leader Summit virtual series. My name is Jennifer, and I will be your session host and moderator this morning. The session is from 9 to 10:30. We do ask a few housekeeping rules. If you are, we are muting all participants. If you have any questions, you can use the group chat or raise your hand, and I can unmute you and you can ask your question that way. Also, if you're using your cell phone, we do sometimes the polls you cannot participate in. However, if you go into the Sched app, you should be able to log in and do the polls that way. Allow me to introduce our presenter today. Her name is Stephanie Jodair, and she is going to be talking about implementing a whole child approach to education. And Stephanie, you can start when you are ready.
All video stopped.
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me okay? Sorry, I just realized you guys are all muted, so can assume you can hear me okay. Yes, thank you. Thank you for being here. My name is Stephanie Jodair, and I work at Wellhead, Louisiana, which is a bureau of the Louisiana Department of Health within the Office of Public Health. And at Wellhead, we work to improve the health and wellness of Louisiana residents, including children and adolescents. Our goal is to ensure that all youth in Louisiana have a healthy start to a healthy future. One of the ways that we do this is by working closely with the Louisiana Department of Education. We collaborate with LDOE's Healthy Communities section to improve student health and academic achievement through nutrition, physical activity, and the management of students' chronic health conditions like diabetes or asthma. We call this collaborative initiative Louisiana Healthy Schools. Louisiana Healthy Schools is funded by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, to support healthier students through a number of strategies, including strengthening statewide infrastructure, delivering professional development, and providing direct technical assistance to schools and school districts. You can learn more about Louisiana Healthy Schools at these two links at the bottom of this slide. All schools strive to enable their students to reach their highest academic potential. In order to achieve this, students need to be academically challenged, as well as healthy, safe, engaged, and supported. Each student enters a classroom with unique needs related to learning and health. When I use the word health, that not only includes physical health and safety, but also social and emotional well-being. One of the most challenging tasks for educators is finding a way to reach every student to ensure learning takes place. I'm gonna start us off with a polling question here, because I kind of want to get a sense of how much you guys already know or don't know about the whole school, whole community, whole child, also known as the WSC model. Are you very familiar with the WSC model and currently implementing it in your school or district? Maybe you have seen or heard of the WSC model, but you're not really sure if or how it's implemented in your district. Or maybe you've never heard of the WSC model at all before. Okay, it looks like the results are in. And it's almost split right down the middle. I see about 45% have seen or heard of it, but aren't really sure how your school or district is using it, or if they are. And 55% of you have never heard of the WISC model before. And that's great, actually. That is, I'm glad to see so many of you guys here who have never heard of it or who aren't very familiar with it, because that means that, you know, by participating in today's session, you are educating yourself and taking a significant step towards helping your students grow and thrive. So we're gonna move on. The whole school, whole community, whole child, or sometimes called the WISC model, provides a framework that schools can use to create a healthy environment that supports student success. The model is centered on children, our students, and fosters a comprehensive approach to addressing the barriers and supports for learning and health. It calls for a greater collaboration across the school, community, and health sectors to meet the needs and support the potential of each child. Regardless of your role in the school community, we all play a part in the implementation of the WISC model. By the end of today's presentation, you will be able to define the WISC model, describe the link between learning and health, recognize the value of using the WISC model to impact student achievement, and describe a step-by-step process for implementation of the model. But I want to start off by giving you guys a little bit of context, okay? This is what real high school students in Louisiana have told us about physical activity and nutrition. This information was collected in 2019 by the Youth Risk Behavior Survey. This survey was developed to monitor health behaviors that contribute to the leading causes of death, disability, and social problems among youth and adults in the United States, with the understanding that these behaviors are often established during childhood and adolescence. So in 2019, real high school students in Louisiana completed an anonymous survey, and we found out that a quarter of students are not physically active for the recommended 60 minutes per day. A quarter of students watch TV for 3 or more hours a day. And keep in mind, this is just time spent in front of a television. It does not include the time spent in front of computers or on phones. And why is this important? It's important to think about because all of this screen time is time that they could be physically active. In addition, half of students do not attend PE class once per week. Physical education class is not only there to help students develop motor skills and knowledge and behaviors for physical fitness, but it also actually provides students with the opportunity to be physically active and get some of those 60 minutes of recommended physical activity for the day. It was also found that 3 out of 4 students drink at least 1 soda per day, which have no nutritional value. About a quarter of students hadn't eaten any fruit in the last week when the survey was taken, and about 15% hadn't eaten any vegetable in the last week. In addition, when asked to share about their weight, it was found that 35% of students, more than a third, are overweight or obese. This is important because we know that being overweight or obese puts a person at greater risk for serious diseases or health conditions like heart disease, diabetes, stroke, and even mental illness. But this is also important because we're seeing that more of our students who are overweight or obese are making poor grades than our students who are not overweight or obese. So 20% of students who took this survey last year, who are not overweight or obese, tell us that they make mostly C's, D's, and F's in school. But 25% of our students who are overweight or obese say that they make mostly C's, D's, and F's. So clearly there is some kind of link between a student's health and their academic performance. Academic achievement and health are closely linked, and healthy students are more ready and able to learn. Research tells us that students who are physically active, eat breakfast and healthy foods, and manage their chronic health conditions have increased test scores, have better grades, have increased school attendance, and have improved classroom behavior. In addition, research also tells us that the development of connected and supportive school environments benefits teaching and learning, helps engage students, and enhances positive learning outcomes. And a positive social and emotional climate increases academic achievement, reduces stress, and improves positive attitudes towards oneself and others. And just as health supports academic achievement also improves health. Academic achievement is an excellent indicator of children's overall well-being and a strong predictor and determinant of adult health outcomes. Individuals with more education are likely to live longer, experience better health outcomes, and practice health-promoting behaviors such as exercising regularly and refraining from smoking. These positive outcomes are why many of the nation's leading educational organizations recognize the need to address health and well-being within the educational environment. So a quick historical context on how we came to use the WSC model. The CDC developed the Coordinated School Health Model in the late 80s, primarily to encourage schools to take steps to promote health and prevent chronic disease. The Whole Child Initiative was introduced in 2007 by ASCD, who are a national education membership organization. The Whole Child Initiative is a comprehensive approach that encourages educators, parents, families, and the community to support and prepare children for success in school and in life. But over time, the education, public health, and school health sectors recognize the need for greater alignment, greater integration, and more collaboration. And in response to this call to action, the CDC and ASCD partnered to develop the WSC model in 2014. So let's take a closer look at the model. When you look at the WSC model, you will see the student, the primary focus of the model, at the center. In the green ring surrounding the student are the 5 tenets of the whole child: healthy, safe, engaged, supported, and challenged. These tenets are critical for supporting student academic achievement and health. Think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. As you might recall, this theory states that before we can meet our social and emotional needs, we must first meet our physical needs. The whole child tenets are structured to reflect this. The tenets of healthy and safe provide the foundation for students to be engaged, supported, and challenged. So what does each tenet really mean? Healthy means that each student will enter school healthy and ready to learn and practice a healthy lifestyle. Emotionally and physically healthy students do better in school. Safe means that each student learns in an environment that is physically and emotionally safe for students and adults. Students who feel safe concentrate better and are more likely to connect with their teachers and peers. Engaged means that each student is actively engaged in learning and feels connected to the school and broader community. Students who feel valued as a part of their school community perform better academically. Supported means that each student has access to personalized learning and is supported by qualified, caring adults. Students who have an adult take a personal interest in them are less likely to drop out, engage in negative behavior, or feel isolated. And challenged means that each student is challenged academically and prepared for success in college or further study, and for employment and participation in a global environment. The blue ring shows the 10 components of school health. They are health education, physical education and physical activity, nutrition environment and services, health services, counseling, psychological and social services, social and emotional climate, physical environment, employee wellness, family engagement, and community involvement. Take a second and think about your role at your school or in your district, and think about which component or components of the WSC model that you support in your role. And we're going to go into our second polling question. You can select as many as apply to you. All right, I think we've got our results now, and I see a lot of social and emotional climate. Also a lot of physical environment, family engagement. And what's most interesting to me is I see that we have representation here from all of the components. So I hope that this question has helped a lot of you realize that you probably play a role in more than just one component of school health. And it may have also prompted you to think about all of the other members of your school community who you regularly collaborate with, who represent other components of school health. It is truly a whole school, whole community effort to address the needs of the whole child. So the next part of the WSC model is the white ring between the 5 whole child tenets and the 10 components. It is the coordination of policies, processes, and practices that helps put this model into action and leads to improved learning and health outcomes. What does this look like? Well, in schools and districts, the model can guide coordination and collaboration to address issues such as attendance, behavior, school climate, student health, and academic outcomes. Coordination among the component areas and the community is critical, as it provides a way to leverage resources, reduce duplication of efforts and programs, and fill in the gaps to address the priorities in a school or district. One of the best strategies for establishing coordination is to expand an existing committee or convene a team with representation from as many of the WSC components as possible. This work is not meant to be on the shoulders of one teacher, one nurse, one department, or one profession within the school or district. It is a whole school approach with every adult and every student playing a role. Lastly, the yellow arms along the outside of the model represent the community. Remember, schools are part of a community and support from that community is essential. Schools will be more effective and accomplish more when there are community collaborations connected to each of the components. Partnerships with local health departments, universities, businesses, and a variety of other entities in the community can help you accomplish your goals. Building these relationships takes time, but is well worth it in the long run. So how does the WSC model work? There is no single answer to this question. While there are promising practices to help facilitate WSC adoption, there is no prescribed approach to using it. Implementation of the model can vary depending on district and school leadership, policy, culture, school and community needs and assets, staff availability, time, resources, family engagement, and community involvement. The WSC model may look different in each school depending on the unique needs of the students, the school staff, and the community priorities. But that's the beauty of this model. It is a framework that can be adapted to meet the local needs of districts, schools, and communities. I want to play for you guys 2 quick videos and let me, yes, okay, my sounds should be, sound settings should be working. These are 2 short videos about a district superintendent in West Baton Rouge Parish and a school principal down in St. Mary Parish who are implementing the WSC model.
I'm the superintendent of schools in West Baton Rouge Parish, former coach and athletic director, and so my dad was a coach, so physical activity for kids is something that I truly believe in and the value of it. One of our philosophies here in West Baton Rouge Parish is we believe in the whole student. Yeah, we are here to help them grow academically, but also physically and emotionally and spiritually, and educating the mind without educating the heart is no education.
Oh no, I may have accidentally stopped the video before it was done. One more time.
I'm the superintendent of schools in West Baton Rouge Parish. I'm the superintendent of schools in West Baton Rouge Parish, former coach and athletic director, and so my dad was a coach, so physical activity for kids is something that I truly believe in and the value of it. One of our philosophies here in West Baton Rouge Parish is we believe in the whole student. Yeah, we are here to help them grow academically, but also physically and emotionally and spiritually, and I think we have a tendency in education to get so locked into pounding content into kids that we forget about the whole student. For us, the overarching factor of success of a school is the culture that you create. That genuine, loving, caring, passionate, enthusiastic culture. And yeah, they're going to do better academically because of all the other things. And so that culture for schools is critical. And Dr. Martin Luther King said it, educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. And so if we can reach them with love and caring and understanding this is a part of that, then we can transform the lives of these kids.
Okay, so that is a district superintendent talking about how they implement the WSC model in all of their schools. Now I'm going to show you a video from a school principal about implementing the WISC model within his school.
This year we started Harambe, which is basically a coming together in the morning for 15 minutes, and the kids get 15 minutes of physical education before they even go to class, because studies have shown that a brain after 20 minutes of physical activity is a whole lot more ready to learn than a brain that's been sitting for 20 minutes. I'm Principal Donald Sanders, principal of Braintree Preparatory Academy. Physical education and student achievement goes hand in hand. I truly believe that our test scores have been going up because of the physical activity that we have been giving the kids here. That has been a big piece of how we've increased student achievement. Our attendance has went up, discipline has went down. Tardies, we really don't have tardies in the morning. The kids are telling the parents, we got to get to school for 7:45, and it's not mandatory because they want to get that social, emotional that we give them, and plus that physical activity that we give them in the morning. So I think that has definitely played a part in us rising test scores.
Okay. So I want to hear from you guys, your thoughts now. What do you think were the keys to their success in implementing the WISC model in West Baton Rouge Parish and at Raintree Elementary? You can use the chat box to share your thoughts. Okay, I see Angela is saying schedule and planning and making sure that there's time dedicated for it, committed staff, consistency, lots of movement, everybody being on board, support, kids feeling noticed, the whole staff is committed. Raintree was intentional about working it into their schedule, yes. Having the kids on board helped, motivating the students, kids feeling engaged from the start of the day. These are all correct. These are all correct, and they're all equally important to make this happen. Buy-in from the whole staff, setting the tone for the day. Involved administrators, yes, exactly. And I've actually been able to catch the Harambe in the morning at Raintree Elementary in action, and it's really amazing. And it's more than just physical activity. They celebrate any birthdays, school-wide, like students and staff. They sing songs. They recite their school motto. They learn a word of the day. It's a really amazing thing, and it's really impressive what you can do in 15 minutes also. And, you know, like a lot of you are saying, it really gets them going, gets their bodies going, gets their brains going, and really just sets them up ready to learn and be successful for that day. So, awesome. Whether they know it or not, most schools and districts are already implementing the WISC model in some way. Schools and districts have existing policies, practices, funding sources, and accountability measures from federal, state, and district and/or school level that addresses non-academic barriers to learning, including student health and healthy school environments. The WISC model provides support and a collaborative framework to meet and exceed these policies and practices. So let's talk about some of the existing policies and how they relate to health and wellness in schools. At the federal level, we've got the Every Student Succeeds Act of 2015, which provides several opportunities to integrate health into education policies and practices through state accountability systems, state report cards, and school improvement plans. State level policies related to the WISC model are governed by various legislated statutes, state agency rules and regulations, state Board of Education policies, or State Board of Health or Nursing regulations. The WSC model can be used to guide development of a district and school's mission, vision, and strategic plan to foster whole child initiatives and supports. School leaders may consider opportunities to incorporate whole child language and priorities into school-level policies and practices, including the school improvement planning and wellness policies, based on the needs of students and staff. One example of Louisiana state legislature related to school health is Louisiana Revised Statute 1717-1, which states that every public school district should have in place an advisory council whose role is to advise the school board on student health matters, including, but not limited to, physical activity for students, physical education and health education, and nutrition. This advisory council may look different depending on the district, but in general, it should include members with expertise and authority in these areas and other components of the WSC model. For example, the district directors of child nutrition, athletics, school nursing and health services, curriculum directors, heads of employee wellness programs, and others. The main policy in place at the district level that supports student health and healthy school environments is the local school wellness policy. Each local educational agency that participates in the National School Lunch Program or any other federal child nutrition program, like the breakfast program, is required by federal law to establish a local school wellness policy for all schools under its jurisdiction. Local wellness policies are an important tool for parents and school districts in promoting student wellness, preventing and reducing childhood obesity, and providing assurance that school meal nutrition guidelines meet the minimum federal school meal standards. But the local school wellness policy must also include specific goals for nutrition promotion and education, physical activity, and other school-based activities that promote student wellness, nutrition guidelines for foods and beverages sold to students outside of the cafeteria, like snack stands, policies for other foods and beverages available on the school campus during the school day, like classroom parties, or foods brought in by parents, or other foods given as rewards or incentives, and policies for the marketing of foods and beverages. Schools cannot promote or market foods and beverages that do not meet the federal nutrition standards. By sharing the local school wellness policies with the community, districts can gain support from parents and family members and community partners. For example, Calcasieu Parish School Board has their local wellness policy right on their website. In many districts, this is housed in the school nutrition department because the local wellness policies are tied to the school meals program. But remember, the local school wellness policy covers more than just school meals. It also covers physical activity, nutrition education, which could be done in the classroom, and other guidelines that are important for all school staff to be aware of and follow. And in Calcasieu, Jacqueline Richard, the child nutrition director, has also provided resources for teachers to provide classroom physical activity breaks and healthy rewards for students that support student wellness. So you might be wondering, what's my role? Everyone has a role to play in implementing the WSC model. For example, school board members can support implementation and funding for evidence-based policies, processes, and practices that care for the whole child. Superintendents can create a district mission and vision and identify accountability metrics that align with the WSC model. Principals can champion the WSC model by prioritizing its implementation, allocating time for and providing professional development for school staff, and communicating its importance. And we saw that in the video with Principal Donald Sanders. School staff can participate in the planning process and implementation of the WSC model. Parents or family members can serve on the school or district WSC team Students can serve as WSC team members and advocate for the needs of their peers. And community members can share expertise and resources to complement and support what schools are doing. In addition to these stakeholders, there are district and school staff who directly represent the various components, such as health and physical education teachers, nutrition services managers and staff, school nurses, school-based health center staff, school counselors and psychologists, facility staff, and employee benefits managers. They may take the lead on implementing practices within their component and coordinating with others. So you've heard me mention a couple of times here a WSC team. Many districts and schools have existing committees that address student and staff health, such as a district level school health advisory council or a school level wellness committee. They may also have a school improvement planning team or a parent teacher organization. These groups can be expanded or adapted so that team members represent the 10 components of the WSC model. So where do we start? Well, there is no one-size-fits-all approach for adopting the WSC model. It's going to look different at every school because every school will determine what their needs and priorities are. However, Louisiana Healthy Schools recommends these steps for addressing health in schools. Step 1. As a lot of you mentioned in the chat box, you have got to have support in order to be successful. It only takes one person to be a champion for school health and lead your school community. And that person will want to start by building a school wellness committee with representation from as many components of the WSC model as possible. And this is also the point at which you want to focus on building your administrative support. When you have your team together, it's time to assess your school. In order to determine your school's needs and priorities, you want to assess your current policies and practices. Louisiana Healthy Schools recommends using the CDC's School Health Index to assess your school health environment. Assessing your school should be a collaborative effort by the School Wellness Committee. Then, once you have identified your strengths and weaknesses using an assessment, you can develop an action plan for improving your school health environment. It's important to set realistic and achievable goals, and it's okay to start small. You may decide to begin by focusing on only one component of the WSC model. Step 4 is when you want to take action and implement that action plan. And again, this should be a team effort and not the responsibility of just one person. Step 5 is often done in conjunction with step 4. There are a ton of resources out there related to improving school health, so use them. They're there to help you. And sometimes a resource might be a community partner. And step 6, just equally as important as all of the other steps, is reflecting on your actions and celebrating your successes, no matter how big or small. It's important to reflect and celebrate your successes so that you can build momentum and continuously improve. So these steps are intended to be implemented in this order, but the process is not always linear. Schools and districts can enter the process wherever they currently are and revisit the steps as needed. And addressing health in schools is also not a one and done task to be crossed off a to-do list. It is an ongoing process that should be built upon every school year. So I want to do our third and final polling question now. Think about your school or your district and think about where you currently are in your journey to improving school health. And when you return to school, which one of the 6 steps will you begin at to improve school health? Take a minute to answer the polling question. All right. So it looks like a majority of you guys are going to focus on building that support, which is so important. And a number of you maybe already have that support built up, and now you want to move on to getting started with an assessment. So I'm glad that you guys know where to start so that you can really get going when we return back to school. And so to help you, I wanted to show you a resource that can kind of be your go-to guide. In Louisiana, we've developed our own guidebook for implementing the WISC model that highlights Louisiana laws impacting school health. It describes the different roles of the district level school health advisory council and a school level wellness committee. And it also outlines the 6 steps to impactful change. The guidebook also contains information on link between health and learning. There's information about local school wellness policy, and it contains hyperlinked resources throughout to help you implement the WISC model in your school or district. And you can find this guidebook online at the link here, Louisiana's Guidebooks. It's housed on the Department of Education's website. So now that you guys know all about the WISC model, we ask that Louisiana parents, families, and students advocate for and participate in health and wellness improvements in our districts and schools. We ask that district and school leaders and administrators focus resources on implementation of policies, practices, and processes to improve student health and wellness and support the whole child. And we ask community partners to partner with us to support whole child efforts within our districts and schools. And Louisiana Healthy Schools is here to help you implement a whole child approach in your school. You can request direct technical assistance from our team by scanning the QR code here with your phone or by clicking on the link on this slide. We can provide resources, connect you with community partners, and even assist you with things like assessing your school and creating action plans. So please do not hesitate to use us as a resource. This slide contains additional resources to help you get started. And I just wanted to point out the Virtual Healthy School from CDC. It's a really awesome interactive tool that helps you see like an ideal WISC implementation in a school. And it can be useful in helping you build support also to share the virtual healthy school with other people in your school or district. And that is all I have for you guys today.
Does anybody have any questions? You can raise your hand or put it in the chat box and Stephanie can answer. I did let everybody know Stephanie's presentation is on the SCED website and the app underneath the session and underneath the presenter. Okay, if nobody has any questions, we will end. And thank you guys for joining, and you guys have a wonderful weekend.